All right, so get this. Today we're diving into a YouTube video, and the title is a mouthful. Get ready for a gift from God by doing the shadow work to heal. A timeless channeled psychic tarot.
Wow, that's quite a title.
Yeah, we're going full on spiritual today, but I think there's something here for everyone.
Definitely. I mean, even if tarot and channeling aren't really your thing, this video has some really practical advice about moving on from the past and, being open to new opportunities. So.
Right on. So let's break it down. The video talks a lot about shadow work. What does that even mean? And how does it apply to real life?
Well, shadow work is basically about acknowledging the parts of ourselves we don't really like to look at. Our fears, insecurities, negative beliefs, all that stuff. It's like finally shining a light on all those dark corners of our minds that we usually try to hide even from ourselves.
So it's like all the stuff we try to pretend isn't there.
Pretty much. And here's the thing. The video actually suggests that these shadows can be triggered by good things, like a new opportunity for happiness. It's almost like the universe is saying, hey, you're ready for this great new thing, but first we need to clear out some of this old baggage.
So this new opportunity is kind of forcing us to deal with stuff we've been ignoring maybe for years.
Exactly. And that can be tough. But the video talks about this concept called the dark night of the soul, which sounds intense, I know.
Yeah, Luther.
But it's basically just a period of really deep introspection where we have to face those uncomfortable emotions head on.
So we can't just keep sweeping them under the rug anymore.
Right. And the key takeaway here is that going through this, even though it's difficult, is what allows us to come out stronger and more resilient.
So it's like we got to face our demons so they don't control us anymore.
Exactly. And that leads us to another big idea in this video. Letting go of the past. It even uses the example of someone holding on to a past relationship.
Been there.
Yeah, we all have. And it's like that saying, you can't start a new chapter if you keep rereading the last one.
So true. Sometimes we get so stuck in those old stories, those past hurts, that we don't even realize how much they're holding us back.
And that's where the shadow work comes in. It's about recognizing those patterns, understanding why we cling to the past, and then making a conscious decision to break free.
Okay, but how do we actually do that? How do we know when it's time to finally let go?
Well, that's where things get really interesting. The video talks about this holding period where we're kind of stuck in the past, and it suggests that this period might be longer than we realize.
It's like we're just hanging out in this emotional waiting room.
Yeah.
But we're so used to it, we don't even realize we're waiting anymore.
Right. And what's interesting is this new opportunity, whatever it is, can actually highlight those attachments we have. It's like the universe is shining a spotlight on the things that aren't serving us anymore. And it's saying, hey, it's time to let go.
So how do we know when we're actually ready to let go?
Right.
And what does this new opportunity even look like?
Well, the video describes it as something that brings emotional fulfillment and pleasure. It could be a new relationship or a creative breakthrough. Even just a newfound sense of inner peace,
So it doesn't have to be some big external event. It can be an internal shift, too.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not always like a bolt out of the blue either. The video actually uses the example of a young woman coming into the lives of some viewers, which might sound specific.
A little bit, yeah. Some
Yeah.
people might be like, wait, what?
But I think it's more about the symbolism,
Okay, so then what's the deeper meaning there, even if someone doesn't literally meet a young woman?
I think it's about embracing new beginnings, fresh perspectives, renewal. That young woman could represent a reawakening of the heart, a connection to our intuition, our creativity. It's about seeing that even after hardship, there's always hope for joy and new beginnings.
Okay, so it's like an archetype, not a literal person.
I like that.
So let's say you've done the shadow work, you're letting go of the past, you're open to new things. How do you make sure you don't miss this gift from God, as the video calls it?
Well, that's a great question. And that's where the video gets really practical. It says we have to come out of that holding period, stop hiding, and put ourselves out there again.
Easier said than done right. What does that even look like in everyday life?
You're right. It can be scary. But the video emphasizes taking small steps. It doesn't have to be this huge dramatic thing. It could be as simple as reaching out to an old friend, trying a new hobby, or even just smiling at someone you don't know.
So baby steps, not giant leaps.
Exactly. It's about building momentum. And the video suggests that the universe might even make this opportunity easy for us, almost like it's handing it to us on a silver platter.
Wait, so if we do the work, the universe helps us out. That sounds almost too good to be true.
It's not about just sitting around waiting for a miracle. It's about being clear about what we want and then taking action. When we do that, things tend to fall into place more easily.
So it's like the universe meets us halfway. We do our part, and it does its part. That makes sense. But what about when things don't go as planned? What if we mess up?
Well, that's where self-compassion comes in. The video really stresses that. We can't be too hard on ourselves. It's okay if we're not as far along in our healing journey as we thought we should be.
It's so easy to get caught up in that should mentality,
Yeah.
Like, I should be over this by now, or I shouldn't be making these mistakes.
And that kind of thinking just keeps us stuck. The video reminds us that healing is a process. It takes time, and it's okay to stumble along the way.
So we have to give ourselves permission to be human, to make mistakes and learn from them.
I like that.
But the video also talks about this gift from God being connected to our unhealed wounds. That seems kind of counterintuitive.
I know. But it makes sense if you think about it. Our wounds are challenges. They often push us to grow the most. They force us to look inside, confront our shadows, and ultimately become stronger.
So it's like those tough experiences are actually gifts in disguise,
Yeah.
leading us to a deeper understanding of ourselves.
Exactly. And that's where the real gift lies. It's not some external reward. It's the transformation that happens within us as we heal and grow.
That's a really powerful way to look at it.
Yeah.
So the video is saying even just becoming aware of those unhealed wounds is a gift.
Yeah, because then we have the chance to actually do something about them.
Hmm.
Right? And the video also talks about accepting those darker emotions, which can be tough, especially when we're constantly told to just be positive.
Yeah, it's like good vibes only, all the
Yeah.
time.
But trying to suppress those emotions only backfires. The video reminds us that all our emotions, even the ones we label as negative, are valid and they have a purpose.
So instead of fighting them or pushing them away, we need to acknowledge them and understand them and let them run their course.
Exactly. It's about embracing the full spectrum of human experience, the light and the shadow.
I like that. And speaking of embracing the full spectrum, the video also says that the universe is going to make this new opportunity gentle for us. That's another one that might make people wonder what it really means.
Right. But I think it's about this idea that when we align with our true purpose, things tend to flow more smoothly. It doesn't mean everything will be perfect.
Yeah.
It's like we have this support system.
Like we're swimming with the current instead of against it.
Exactly. And that doesn't mean there won't be challenges, but it's like the universe might throw us a life preserver now and then.
Okay, so we've talked about the theory, but what about the practical stuff? What can people actually do to start this healing journey and be open to these new opportunities?
Well, the video actually offers a few concrete tips, like journaling. Just getting all those thoughts and feelings out of our heads and onto paper can be so helpful.
Journaling always seems a little intimidating to me. Like, I need to write something profound every time I open my notebook.
It doesn't have to be a masterpiece. Just write whatever comes to mind. It's about the process of letting it all out.
Okay, so just stream of consciousness, no judgment. I can do that. The video also mentions forgiveness as a big part of healing. But that can be really hard, especially if someone has really hurt you.
It's true. Forgiveness isn't easy. It's not about saying what the other person did was okay. It's about freeing yourself from the resentment that's holding you back. It's like you're carrying this heavy weight, and forgiving yourself or the other person allows you to finally put it down.
That's a great analogy. And I think the video even says that forgiveness is like a prerequisite for receiving this gift from God.
Right. It's about making space in our hearts for something new. And speaking of creating space, the video also talks about gratitude, which might sound cliche,
Yeah, we hear a lot about gratitude these days.
but it's powerful. Focusing on what we're grateful for can totally shift our perspective.
So instead of dwelling on the negative, we focus on the positive, even the little things.
Exactly. It's about training our minds to see abundance instead of lack. And when we do that, it's amazing how much more we appreciate everything we already have.
So those gratitude journals everyone talks about, they actually work.
They can. And the video also talks about not being afraid to try again, even if we've been hurt in the past.
That's where the fear comes in, right? The fear of getting hurt again, of repeating the same patterns.
Fear is normal, but it doesn't have to control us. The video reminds us that every moment is a new beginning. We always have the choice to change our story.
So we have to be brave enough to step outside our comfort zone, even when it's scary.
Yeah. And the video emphasizes that the universe actually wants us to be happy. It's rooting for us.
That's a nice thought, especially when we're going through something tough.
Yeah.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into this video, any final thoughts or questions for our listeners?
Well, I think the video reminds us that healing and happiness are always possible no matter what. We don't have to have it all figured out. We don't have to be perfect. It's a journey.
The one thing that really resonated with me is that it's not just about this internal work. It's about how that work helps us show up better in our relationships, our careers, our communities, you know?
It's like the video is saying, do the shadow work, but then get out there and live your life. Embrace the opportunities that are waiting.
So to everyone listening, what shadows might you need to face in your own life? What are you holding on to that might be holding you back?
And are you ready to embrace those new opportunities, even if they feel a bit scary or unfamiliar? This video challenges us to step outside our comfort zones, trust the process, and believe in the possibility of a brighter future.
And you don't have to do it alone. Reach out for support, connect with your community, and listen to your heart. Till next time, keep diving deep.
It encourages us to start with some simple practices, like journaling. It sounds basic, but just getting those thoughts and feelings out of our heads and onto paper can be really powerful.
Journaling always seems a little overwhelming to me. Like I have to come up with these super deep insights every time I sit down to write.
Oh, you don't have to be a poet or anything like that. Just write whatever comes to mind. It's really just about the process of getting it all out there. It's not about creating some perfect masterpiece.
So no judgment. Just
Yeah.
let it flow. I can do that. The video also talks about forgiveness as being a key part of healing. And that's a tough one, especially when someone has really hurt you.
Yeah, for sure. Forgiveness is not easy. It doesn't mean you're saying what happened was okay. It's about letting go of the bitterness and resentment that's keeping you stuck. You know, it's like carrying around this heavy weight, and forgiving yourself or the other person lets you finally put it down.
I love that image. And the video even suggests that forgiveness is necessary to receive this gift from God, right?
Exactly. It's about clearing out space in our hearts for something new. And actually, speaking of creating space, the video also talks about gratitude.
Gratitude. That's a popular one these days.
It might sound cliche, but it's powerful. Focusing on what we're thankful for can really change our whole perspective.
So instead of focusing on what's wrong or what we don't have, we appreciate all the good things, even the small stuff.
Right. It's about training our minds to see abundance instead of lack. And when we do that, we start to notice and appreciate so much more of the good that's already in our lives.
So those gratitude journals people are always talking about, they actually work.
Yeah, they can. The key is to do it consistently. And the video also talks about not being afraid to try again, even if we've been hurt or disappointed in the past.
It's that fear that gets us. You know, the fear of being hurt again, falling back into old patterns.
Fear is normal, but we don't have to let it control us. The video reminds us that every moment is a fresh start. We can choose to rewrite our story.
So it's about having the courage to step outside our comfort zone, even when it's scary.
Exactly. And the video emphasizes that the universe is on our side. It wants us to be happy.
It's comforting to think about that, especially when things are tough. So to wrap up our deep dive into this video, any last thoughts or questions for our listeners?
Well, I think the biggest takeaway is that healing and happiness are always possible, no matter what we've been through. It's a journey, not a destination. And we don't have to have all the answers or do everything perfectly.
It really stood out to me was how this inner work isn't just about personal growth. It's about how that growth allows us to show up better in all areas of our lives, our relationships, our work, our communities.
It's like the video is encouraging us to do the shadow work and then get out there and live our lives, embrace the opportunities that come our way.
So to everyone listening, I'd ask, what shadows might you need to face in your own life? What are you holding on to that might be holding you back?
And are you open to new opportunities, even if they're a little scary or uncertain? This video challenges us to push ourselves, trust the process, and believe that a brighter future is possible.
And remember, you don't have to do it alone. Reach out to your support system, connect with your community, and listen to your intuition. Until next time, keep diving deep.